how we get to the point where white women, you know, can clutch the pearls, cry, and cause, you know, people to go to jail and worse, death, children, men, women, anybody. And what people don't understand is this has a precedence. This has been going on for a long time. And what I'm going to be showing in this PowerPoint is that context. Next slide. This is taken from the National Museum of African American History right there in Culture in DC. Now, these are pictures you don't normally see. You don't see the white woman sternly confronting the enslaved Africans. You don't see her, but she's there. Next slide. In fact, here she is depicted beating enslaved Africans, right? But these are pictures that you don't normally see because we always attribute such violence to white men. Next slide. So this is called the Casual Killing Act. For those of you who have never heard of it, sounds very, very close to, well, I don't know, a little bit like, you know, the escape clauses for runaway slaves, you know, the Fugitive Slave Act, stand your ground. You'll hear some similar language here, but we're going to unpack this a little bit more so you understand the context to why we are calling for stricter laws. And if any slave resists his master, owner, or other person by his or her order correcting such slave, and shall happen to be killed in such correction, it shall not be counted felony, but the master, owner, and every other person so giving correction shall be acquitted of all punishment and accusation for the same, as if such accident had never happened. Okay. What is this about? It's called the Casual Killing Act.
Message.
It was an act that came into existence, not just in Virginia, because there are statutes in other parts of the country, for protecting someone who beats someone to death while correcting them. So now you have to ask yourself, the only reason why you would have to establish a law is because this was happening frequently, right? So you got to ask yourself, who's beating people to death so frequently that you need to create the Casual Killing Act? That is going to surprise you because that was about white women.
Message.
White women who were, by the way, at this time, 1705, beating Black children to death. Why? Well, whose children were they really? Right? So white women took out their anger and rage against their husbands who were raping Black women by beating to death their children. Hence the Casual Killing Act. Don't want you to get in trouble. We want you to just say it was an accident because you were correcting them. Stay with me. Next slide. Now it takes us to 1955. This is Emmett Till. Emmett Till's mother had an open casket funeral so that she could show the world what they did to her baby, her child. And I think, you know, when we consider this, this is where I'm gonna really have to pull it together because this makes me so angry. Next slide.
First, take a breath. Okay.
A killing that shook a nation. This was taken from the Tribune News, January 28, 2017. The person you're looking at is Carolyn Bryant Dunham. This is a woman at the center of the trial of Emmett Till's alleged killers, and she has acknowledged that she falsely testified he made physical and verbal threats, according to a new book. It was the summer of 1955 in the Jim Crow South. Emmett, more affectionately known as Bobo by the people who loved him, had traveled to Mississippi from Chicago to visit his great uncle. Once there, the teen was falsely accused of flirting with Carolyn Bryant, a 21-year-old at the time. Bryant and her husband, Roy, owned a grocery store in Money, Mississippi. 4 days went by. Then in the middle of the night on August 28, 1955, Roy Bryant and his half-brother, J.W. Millam, paid Emmett a visit. They rousted him from his bed and ordered him into the bed of a pickup truck. They beat him mercilessly. Then they took his life by shooting him in the head. And to get rid of Emmett's body, his killers strapped a 75-pound cotton gin to his neck with barbed wire. That way he'd be weighed down when they threw his battered body in the Tallahatchie. Just stay with me one moment here. This woman lied, admitted that she lied, caused the death, the brutal torture, beating death of a child, and didn't see a day in jail. Didn't see a day of justice. This woman knowingly waited for the two men to die before she even admitted it. But as she closes in on death's door, she's going to admit something, which to me says, thank you so much. We're going to cart your behind right off to jail right now, because there's no statute of limitations on murder. But she didn't. She'll probably write a book out of this and they'll make a movie about her. Yeah, I feel some kind of way. Next slide. Now let's bring it closer up to date. So now again, in 2018, everyone knows she lied. Everyone. The whole world knows that this woman lied about Emmett Till ever saying, hey, baby, ever whistling. None of it was true. None of it. This is Emmett's family. And what they did was they got a sign that they posted to honor him at the side of the river where he was killed. And within 30 days of putting it up, it was vandalized, shot with bullets. Now stay with me. Everyone knows, okay, everyone understands that she lied, that an innocent child was murdered. But look at the visceral hatred. That's 2018. Next slide. Oh, then there's Susan Smith. Susan Smith, 43, was convicted in 1995 of murdering 3-year-old Michael and 14-month-old Alex by strapping them into their car seats in her burgundy Mazda and then letting her car roll into a lake in the mill town of Union where she lived. Okay, I just have to take a breath, because just that alone is a mother, a child now drowning, strapped into their seat. I can't even, okay. The tragic case attracted worldwide attention and stirred racial tensions after Smith initially told police that a Black man had carjacked her and kidnapped her children. She tearfully pleaded for the kids to be returned. This is on nationwide television, by the way. She went on like Good Morning America and pleaded, please bring my children back. That's how much attention she garnered, that the whole national media was supporting her. But in 9 days later, she admitted she pushed her car down the access ramp of John D. Long Lake with the kids in the back. On October 25th, 1994, Smith reported to police that her vehicle had been carjacked by a Black man who drove away with her sons still inside. The composite sketch, stay with me. She came up with a composite sketch of the alleged carjacker. And by the way, they found them. Because it was basically arbitrarily any Black man that you could see. And they literally found the men that matched the composites, who didn't exist.
Message.
Okay, did not exist, but they found them. The composite sketch of the lead carjacker, however, was too generic in the sense that it described half of the African-American men who lived in the community. For 9 days, she made dramatic pleas on national television for their rescue and return. Now, let me update you on her, because she gets out in 4 years. She gets paroled in 4 years. She didn't get the death penalty. Now, I want to really march this home. This woman strapped babies in her car and killed them intentionally. And we went, yeah, well, not even life without possibility of parole. She gets out of jail in 4 years. And if you look at her behavior, she hasn't behaved well. Okay. She hasn't been, she's been brought up on all kinds of cases since she's been there.
But she's still going to get out in 4 years.
I'm just saying, help me understand that. Help me understand. Killed her own children in the most horrific way. I was praying in my mind, did you drug them? Did you put them to sleep first? Something. But to have your mother, oh my God, I can't even
Take a breath. Take a breath, Dr. Joy.
Next slide.
2 breaths, maybe.
I'm better. I'm better.
Oh, you didn't breathe. I'm watching you. You're holding your breath. Thank you. All right.
Okay, this is surveillance footage that proves that the white woman who falsely accused a Black 9-year-old of sexual assault in 2018. 9. I just want you all to go back to 9. 9 is prepubescent, okay? It's a child. It all happened Wednesday at the Sahara Deli Market at Abel Morrow Road in Flatbush. The woman, identified as Teresa Klein, was being rung up at the front counter when the child walked by. According to Klein, the boy grabbed my ass, prompted her to call 911. Video of the exchange outside the deli when Klein confronted the child and his mother was later posted on Facebook. As the woman proceeds to yell at the family, the children weep and attract a crowd of bystanders shocked at what they are seeing. What the actual video, you can go back and look at it, it's online. But what it shows is that his backpack brushed up against her. Now let's look at what she accused the child of. Grabbing her ass. He's 9 years old. And in fact, the little boy is horrified. He's crying. He's horrified because he doesn't understand what's going on. And when you see it, you see his backpack brushed against her. That's what happened. But it didn't stop this grown adult white woman from accusing a 9-year-old of sexually assaulting her. There's no way in the world she thought that happened. There's no way she thought that that boy grabbed her ass. And if she did, there's something wrong with her. But still, do you understand the implications of this? Do you think she does not know? Next slide. Next slide. 2014 study. Anybody taking my class has had to read all this material. It's called The Essence of Innocence, Consequences of Dehumanizing Black Children, 2014. So you can go look up the article if you like, or you could, I can give it to you if you need it or want it. Why can't I get this thing to go up here? I don't want, there you go. The social category children defines a group of individuals who are perceived to be distinct with essential characteristics, including innocence and the need for protection. The present research examined, this is 2014, examined whether Black boys are given the protections of childhood equally to their peers. We tested 3 hypotheses. A, Black boys are seen as less childlike than their white peers. B, that the characteristics associated with childhood will be applied less when thinking specifically about Black boys relative to white boys. And C, that these trends would be exacerbated in contexts where Black males are dehumanized by associating them implicitly with apes. We expected derivative of these 3 principal hypotheses, that individuals would perceive Black boys as being more responsible for their actions, as being more appropriate targets for police violence. We find support for these hypotheses across 4 studies using laboratory field and translational mixed laboratory field methods. We find converging evidence that Black boys are seen as older, less innocent, and that they prompt a less essential conception of childhood than do their white same age peers. Further, our findings demonstrate that the Black Ape Association predicted actual racial disparities in police violence toward children. Taken together, this research suggests that dehumanization is a uniquely dangerous intergroup attitude, and that intergroup perception of children is underexplored, and that both topics should be research priorities. That was 2014. That our children are still being dehumanized. Next slide.
Message.